That's much better. Oh, so much better.
This is a propaganda report. Brad Binkley here with Ian Covell. That was a new version of a new theme song from Justin Ridgway that he sent me a first draft of earlier and gave me permission to try out. What did you think, Ian?
Dude, what you need is some kind of 80s metal singer who can hit that falsetto high. Like, propaganda report.
We gotta get a vocalist
high.
in there. Yeah.
And then we gotta fucking lay some kind of finger tapping guitar solo on top of that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're saying it's going in the right direction.
It's going in the right direction. This ship is sailing. I like it. It's
Sounds
so good.
good. Sounds
So
good. All right. Protest and propaganda. Happy May Day, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course. Happy May Day. I celebrated
You
today.
celebrate every single year. It's the big
every May
communist holiday where you go out and
It's also a cry for help.
a cry for help day.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody goes out and they mask their cry for help in the form of a protest of whatever the latest thing that they've been told they need to be upset about is. And that was going on all over the country today. What's going on? Good to see you guys in the chats. And I figured that maybe we could just look at some of these. Here's how it's kind of being presented with today being May Day protest. All the people who are angry over Donald Trump, they have organized around the world, it says, on this International Workers' Day to push back against what they see as his administration's sweeping assault on labor protections, diversity initiatives, and federal employees. Protesters line the streets in many cities from New York to Philadelphia to Los Angeles and held a boisterous rally outside the White House in Washington. It was also going here in downtown Atlanta. What percentage would you say of the people at these protests have any idea what they're actually
1%. The people with the bullhorns.
The people with the bullhorns. The other people are just finally happy to have a group of people to do something with.
Here's my sign.
Absolutely.
Here's my sign.
I love it how they don't even let you bring your own sign because they don't want you to say the wrong thing.
Those signs.
Well, let us
one
take
our
care
signs.
of the
Oh,
signs.
You look so good with that sign.
You look
at
great
you.
with this hands off our trans sibling signs. An actual
Do I
sign.
Really?
Yeah, you look fantastic with it. You look like you would never put your hands on our trans siblings.
Well, thanks.
Here's a little taste of the protest from this is Los Angeles. I figure that'll be some of the best ones.
World today, workers are uniting for the annual May Day rallies. Some of the largest rallies are expected right here in L.A. Scott Reif is live in Air 7 over
I want to
downtown
drop
L.A.
something on that
Scott.
whole crowd.
Yeah,
Like
Philip and
food- some
Colleen.
kind of
so
food.
thousands of people have shown up so far. The parade, or excuse me, the march, I should say, just started.
I love the helicopter sound, their overview. They get tight on this one street that has people. They try to make it look grassroots, Harem says. Yeah, all grassroots.
A moment ago here at Olympic and Figueroa, and it's scheduled to go eastbound on Olympic and then pick up.
You hear the lisp?
scheduled.
Right.
It's just scheduled to go east
This
now.
guy's got a little bit of
There's
a
a
lisp.
big
here.
old whole lot of people out there. So
Yeah, really exciting.
yeah.
Los Angeles to the north. Now, LAPD is in front of all of this
I think it's the
crowd,
mic,
and they're
to be
sort of
fair.
trying to do what they can for traffic control.
Right, so you notice that? Notice there's nobody else on these other streets as they come away. This is all one little street that people are packed into.
Fucking so
Thousands of people.
just
Area,
randomly.
but-
Yeah, it's all
Randomly
spontaneous.
answered
But
the
it's
call.
gridlock. You can't see it in this shot, but so many streets in downtown Los Angeles are shut down, and more people are pouring in. They're going to head up to the federal
Pouring
building
in.
over by
pouring
downtown
in.
City
Where are
Hall.
they?
It could
Show
take
us
some
the shot of people
Them pouring
pouring
in.
time, but as I
Just
mentioned, we're
Out of a
climbing
giant
down the
pitcher.
buildings.
They're scaling down everywhere.
It's pouring.
Spilling
in.
out of the windows.
Yeah. I would love to have one of those planes they use to scoop up the water to drop on forest fires. Fill that with chili and just buzz these guys with a chili drop.
Ian on Instagram, another fellow Ian says nothing is more annoying than activists of any sort. I do not disagree with that sentiment.
more people flow into this area every moment, and that's a pretty big crowd already. So unless you have to come to downtown Los Angeles or you want to be a part of this
You see
march and
this?
this protest, I'd avoid the area. We're gonna start to
Very
see some
smart.
delays
They
on the
have these.
110
They have
freeway.
these signs anticipating the aerial
Wow.
view here. What does that say? Something about hate. Those are interesting.
It says report hate.
Immigrant rights ass. Is that what that says on the top right there?
Immigrants. It says immigrant eights are
Immigrants
hunky,
eat
are
ass.
hunky big. Immigrant eights are hunky big.
Yeah.
And
An immigrant ate my ass. I believe that one says.
Freeway and the 101 freeway as well. But you can tell they're just starting to get underway. And Shayla, I bet you there's madness down there right now.
Uh-oh. Shayla on the ground.
Yeah, Scott, you said it. Quite the crowd out here this morning. As you mentioned, that march just starting moments ago. It's impossible to tell how many people are out here, but they were expecting record-breaking attendance this morning. This line going back block after block. All of these folks starting down Figueroa.
keep doing
and it's
this
hard
shit.
to tell just how far back it goes. Again, like I said, expecting
They can't think this
thousands
is
of
working.
people out here this morning. Now they've been out here
They
for
do it every time, too.
Every
They do it
fucking
every single
time.
time.
hours listening to a rally. Organizers were out here.
I'll bet you if there was an election today, even after 100 days of Trump, everyone would. I bet you he'd still win.
Yeah, I think he probably still would, especially after Kamala Harris gave her speech the other day.
Whose streets? Whose streets?
This is a very pathetic response from that crowd. Like, he has enthusiasm with that mic, but they're kind of half in.
Yeah, they are. They need us out there.
They really do, pumping this crowd up.
They need us pumping this
Thousands of
crowd up.
workers taking to the streets of downtown Los Angeles today in honor of International
Okay, thousands of workers taking to the streets. Let's be honest, these are not workers of any sort
Yeah.
who are taking to the streets of Los Angeles.
Yeah, none of these guys. No one here has a job
Definitely not.
that needs them
What is
there
it?
right now.
May Day.
Like this guy. Look at this guy in the wife beater
This guy in
here.
the white beater. Look at all these CEOs. These are all. Look at Bigfoot out there in the back there in the blue shirt.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got Bigfoot there. Got this this Hispanic guy in the interesting
May Day
hat.
Coalition is comprised of thousands of workers and over 85
I like
labor
that they
unions.
have people with fluorescent vests and earpieces
Right. Yeah.
as well that
To-
are
to,
obviously not city workers. They're part. They're
No.
part of this thing.
Yeah. This. I wonder what song they're gonna sing. This
yeah,
band
that's-
here.
Today's demonstration
But
of
it's stupid.
solidarity is expected to be one of the largest in the country,
Yep.
many of which are focused on U.S.
What are
President
these green reflector
think there's
shirts
banjo
these
and
guys
mandolin
idiots are
there.
wearing?
Yeah. Oh, there's a Palestinian flag.
Donald Trump's policies.
What's hilarious is the idea that every person in this group agrees with everything.
Where's
they
the
all have the
Ukrainian-
same views.
Where's the Ukrainian flag?
I'm sure yeah, that's true. That they're
This is fucking
not.
bullshit. I don't see. Do you see any rainbow flags? Where's
I don't
where's
see enough. I love that they're all workers, and yet here's a giant sign that says "I want to work."
Oh, those are IATSE people. Is that what
IATSE
that is?
people.
Yeah,
What is
that's
that?
that's a film, right? IATSA, aren't they? IATSE.
Is that a film?
Is it? I don't know what it is. Hold on.
Attendees gathering together with
Yeah,
signs,
search
chanting
it.
and cheering. They're demanding a
So here's a big sign that says,
Yeah, it's the union behind entertainment. Yep.
"Oh,
Yep.
those are it's the union workers. That's a big
Yeah,
union
yeah,
worker
yeah.
holiday."
accountability from elected officials and protection of workers and immigrants' rights.
Okay, this is my
According
favorite
to
part here,
organizers,
coming
the
up.
coalition is also
They're gonna
demanding
interview a
living
guy on the
wages
street.
and safer workplaces.
This is our chance to stand up together.
Well, just for you guys listening, this is what appears to be a homosexual Asian man.
Charlie Brown with a mohawk.
with a mohawk. Yeah. If the Golden Buddha were gay and had a blue mohawk, that's what we're looking at right now.
rise up and fight back for our rights, for our livelihood, for liberty and freedom.
And I see
And I said all the words.
He was laughing at himself saying that. Yeah, so there's the let's see the wrap up here. Let's see how they wrap it up.
I mentioned earlier, it is
Imagine-
backed up a little
it's
bit.
hard for me
traffic,
when I
or
meet
even,
someone
those
who's really,
protesters-
really nice, and then I find out they have this side to them. I'm like, this is gonna get awkward at some point in our
Absolutely. Sweet Cheek says we're here to fight for our rice. Is what.
friendship. That is a terrible thing to say.
In the area,
Fucking
so again,
awful.
Try to avoid the area if you are not out here for one of these rallies. This is one of several that will be happening today. Another set for this afternoon. Of course, we'll keep you updated both
She's
online
not Belichick
and on
material,
air.
I'll
For
tell you
now, in
that.
downtown
No,
Las
way
Vegas,
too old for
Sheila
Belichick.
Way
Jordan,
too old for
87.
Belichick.
Actually, there's another interview here. Let's see if this guy also appears to be Hispanic. Not doesn't look gay.
My friends,
People are seeing that democracy
Wait,
is
what was
under
that?
I see a wave of change reflected in each of movements, each of these faces.
Sorry, I want to hear what her speech here to them is.
Freedom.
And I see here in each of you, in each of these faces, in these banners,
this is
in
one of
these
those
flags,
fake-
in these
fake
voices, and in this joy.
Right.
A movement for wholeness, a movement for fair pay, a movement for accessibility, for educational opportunities, a movement for the dignity and protection of all people.
None of them are listening
I
to
see a
anything
wave
she's
of
saying.
change reflected in each of you, and the tides are turning, my friends.
Definitely
people are
not.
seeing that democracy is under
Definitely.
attack, and I think that's really creating
Are
an
they? Is
urgency for
democracy
folks to
under
actually
attack?
show up and to put down maybe some differences as well and to join, right? And that's why I love the theme of this march of one struggle, one fight, workers unite.
Yeah. One struggle, one
One
fight.
struggle, one fight.
Workers unite. There it is. So that's
Dude, that's the theme song. Like, we need lyrics for the theme song, and I think that might be it.
you know, what does it say in the building there? Is that on the building? I just noticed that on the
I can't
right.
see it. I can't see it anymore.
It's look. I did not. Did somebody actually get on top of that building?
You took away the.
I'm
page.
putting it up there. Put it back up there. On the right. Does that say Fingerora? What is that?
Yeah, it says Hotel Figueroa.
Hotel Finger Me?
No,
is
that's,
that-
that's just the name of the hotel, right?
Oh,
Hotel
right. That's a
Figueroa.
popular hotel. Oh, okay. So yeah.
But then there's
Sorry.
a really awesome Call of Duty Black Ops, huge post like the side of a building ad, right underneath it.
Oh, there is. That's funny, dude. That's hilarious. That's really because that is not something.
And that's half of the side of that building.
Look, so you see this Google thing up here on the left. I wonder what the Google image represents. It's got to be something Mayday related. I guess not. It's just not. Get your sweat on. Sweat
Oh.
on. All right. So
Like, Google better not try that shit.
yeah,
Trump will put a tariff on Google searches.
absolutely, especially from China. What's up, Sam?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
with-
exactly.
With that in mind, there was this website that was going around yesterday called Crowds on Demand.
Oh,
This
I
guy's
saw
been
it
around
today
for
after your post. It's very scary stuff,
for
man.
12 years. This guy's been around. This company has. And there was a lot of shock about it online. Are protesters paid? Not all of them. No, there's organizers and they do have groups that are paid. Indivisible events that I've gone to, most of those people on the ground are not paid. It's very obvious they're true believers who have nothing better to do. But that doesn't mean that they do not pay to fill up spaces, which is something that's been going on for a long, long time. But this crowds on demand thing, it's not a surprise to me because it's a public relations thing. It's what Edward Bernays has been doing or did for 100 years ago up until he died when he was like 105 years old in the late 90s. And the Nahara testimony back in the late 90s, the Gulf War invasion, that they used the daughter of I believe there's a Saudi ambassador from Saudi Arabia, that it was a script written by Hill and Knowlton, the PR firm. It was all scripted out, and this girl actually didn't see any babies being pulled out of incubators. It was all staged. This is what the news is made up of most of the time, is a series of publicity stunts. Bernays writes about it in this book, Crystallizing Public Opinion, which I'll show you some quotes from that in a minute. But this Crowds on Demand site is a modern version of this. Your home for impactful advocacy campaigns, demonstrations, PR stunts, crowds for hire, and corporate events.
Yeah.
What was the scariest part about this website to you when you went
Just
and
the
looked
fact
at
that
it?
it exists. The fact, first of all, the tone.
Right,
It's very
yeah.
friendly, very corporate, very
It
professional.
is very corporate.
It's very, very corporate, and it's very non-offensive. You know,
Right.
it's like, and it's so distant. Like what this website, the tone it sets, and what you see out on the streets. Like I'm sure I'm sure people have gotten arrested at one of these crowds on demand events, right?
Well, they claim they've never had anybody arrested. Is their claim?
Oh.
They claim to they
None of their
claim to not
employees,
be
just people
associated.
adjacent to them?
Right. They claim not to be associated with the
So yeah, you get
Palestinian.
arrested, right? So you get arrested at one of their events, and they disavow you. Okay, so none of
It's
them.
the same
ever get
thing with
arrested.
Indivisible. Everybody takes their hands off when somebody gets arrested, even though, especially groups like Indivisible, I don't know about this one, they put out booklets on what to do when arrested and who to call when arrested. Do they have a careers page? like do they like job opportunities page? They might. Actually, it says we create out-of-the-box campaigns, audiences, and events to make an impact for our clients, and they have a.
I hate this kind of shit. I mean, this is the kind of world that I was in when I ran that improv theater, and I hate this kind of shit.
They probably hire
I hate the
improvisers.
language.
Actually.
I know.
I hate it too.
I hate
Yeah.
the way they talk to each other.
I
hate
love
it
the
all.
opening the problem you have. Are you looking to create a buzz anywhere in the U.S.? At Crowds on Demand, we provide our clients with impactful advocacy campaigns. We are best known for organizing passionate demonstrations, rallies, flash mobs, corporate PR events, and lighthearted events such as paparazzi, broad ambassadors, and PR stunts. I have to say that Princess Di might not think that paparazzi is so lighthearted.
Yeah, well, that's one of the stunts they do.
They try and kill you.
They fucking try to kill you, man.
Yeah. Oh, some people say that the Queen had her killed. We'll have to acknowledge that. But let's see what the protest and rally section. Protest, rallies, and advocacy. Organize rallies and get media attention for your causes and candidates. I guess because the
IATSE
candidates.
just hired them. Yeah.
Who hired them?
IATSE just hired them, apparently.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder who. Do they have
They use an improv team. They use improv exercises to come up with the slogans.
I'm sure they probably do.
They do.
They recycle a lot of the slogans too from like
Oh, I'm sure.
the old commie days. Because that's what today is. Today's is International Commie Day. Blocking new union restrictions, presidential public opinion. A foreign government hired Crowds on Demand to help generate a positive reception for its newly elected leader during the UN General Assembly. The concern was ensuring that the leader was well received by a U.S. audience and confident for his work at the UN.
Oh, my God.
That's interesting.
I bet they just hired people to stand there and applaud.
Look, well, right. Well, so look, here's a conspiracy
I wanna
we have.
hire them and tape the worst comedy special ever, and just have the crowd going bananas the entire time. That'd be really fun.
Maybe that's what Netflix does.
Yeah.
Sweet Cheek says plot twist. This is a native ad, and Bink's got a sponsor. I wish. They look like they have a lot of money. I'm doing free advertising here. You're not wrong. We're not getting paid for it. That's the only problem. I'm sure Ian Carroll's going to get all the money for covering this group.
Oh my God. That's so
Blocking new union restrictions, justice for victims of deceptive home sales. That's a very specific category. Crippling a child molester-owned business.
We fucking took that motherfucker out of the kneecaps.
This is interesting. We were hired by a competitor of a large manufacturer business owned by a convicted child molester to cripple his operations. We did this by protesting the business and all of its clients.
We molested everyone's kids.
Yeah, we showed them what happens. Yeah, they had to do the thing where they double down on it. And if he's a child molester, I guess he's not in prison anymore.
Oh my gosh.
They could get sued for that if that's not true. But
Well, I mean, not that I
Request a
have,
quote.
not that I don't have any sympathy for that one.
of course not. I
mean,
just I don't know the
out-
truth
out
of
of
it.
all these. Yeah, but child molester. I'm not going to really give you much. I'm not going to give you much breathing room.
The
man.
problem is the opposite side of any group is likely to brand somebody a child molester at any
Sure.
point in time.
Sure.
That's why it's got to be like, is it true?
Well, the
'Cause, yeah,
guy, will
nobody
go,
is.
the guy just goes, look, I'll prove it right now. Bring a naked kid right now in front of me.
Yeah, Jesus.
I'll prove you right now I'm not a child
Right,
molester.
you just proved that you were with that statement, sir. We're going to have to protest you. Mediation, who we are. Yeah, I wanted to see the specific groups. This is one of those things where you can't put your client list on here. You know,
You're right.
because
that's true. It is very vague. It is kind of like one of those ads, like, I loved this mattress. It was the best. A user in Minnesota.
exactly.
It is a lot like that.
because they'll expose the people who and the foreign president who they propagandize.
A. Brown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's one person. Who are we? And it's just one guy. It's just this one guy.
Adam Swart.
Who looks like a weird
First of all,
AI image. Oh,
Adam
that's got to be a
Swart.
Jewish name.
Fuck that last name.
Yeah.
And look at that guy. That guy looks like a fucking. All right. I always judge people by how I think they would behave in a restaurant. How do you think this guy? acts
He
in a
would
restaurant?
snap at the.
Yeah, he's a
and
piece
he'd
of
say,
shit that
waiter.
snaps.
And he's the type
That's
of guy that if he took an Uber, he'd just call the driver the whole time.
Yep.
So interesting. All right, so it's interesting stuff, but that's not the only group like that. A lot of things are astroturfed. In fact, I'm starting to believe that almost nothing isn't astroturfed at this point. And with that said, I thought it would be good to go back to some old Edward Bernays stuff. And some of this stuff is becoming more and more public knowledge. A few quotes from that Edward Bernays book that I just showed you. I found a copy of it online. Let me get that up on screen. It's always good to see it because you can say it, but it's better to show it on the text. And just some of the quotes. Basically, this book was written in 1923, before his book Propaganda, and kind of the whole idea is it starts off by talking about how during World War I, that the Committee on Public Information, the Creel Committee, they used propaganda to help sway the American public into war fervor, to support the war, because the public did not want to go to war. They were neutral. And the British sent some agents over here, which got some powerful people in the government to want to go to war. So they created the Creel Commission, which got the public on board. And then a lot of this was discovered. And when I read that quote before many times from this other book that Bernays wrote, on page 75, but many years later, like in 1950 or something like that, where he reflected on the effort of the Creel Committee about how the public, specifically, they said that the committee's volunteers got hysterical, but his hysteria was prevalent at the time generally, and reports that the Germans were beasts and Huns were generally accepted. The most fantastic atrocity stories were believed. After the war, there was widespread disillusion with and reaction to propaganda. The American people resented their own wartime gullibility, which this is an admission of recycling old atrocity stories to manipulate the public, which he admits many, many other times in all of his various books, and even goes through the history, I believe in this book you might do that, of some of the recycled atrocity stories that are used over and over again, just modified a little for the modern times for the past 500 years, according to him. And so after the public discovered some of this propaganda, they grew to resent it, which caused Edward Bernays to decide to rebrand propaganda as public relations. And that is what modern PR firms grew from. It's just a rebranding of propaganda because it got to be viewed negatively, and he wanted to get away from that stigma. And this book goes through and it highlights a lot of what news actually is, what the role of the public relations person, the propagandist, is when it comes to creating news. And the theme is basically news doesn't just happen. News is created by the public relations person and the firm. And here are some of the quotes. Let me find this one here. I have to search these. And you can see that, right? This is actually a very interesting book. This one's more interesting than the book Propaganda to me. Through that. Okay. So he's talking here about the talent of the PR people and what their role is. And he says, first of all, there are circumstances and events he helps create, talking about the propagandist, the public relations person. After that, there are instruments by which he broadcasts facts and ideas to the public: advertising, motion pictures, circular letters, booklets, handbills, speeches, meetings, parades, news articles, magazine articles, and whatever other medium there are. there are through which the public attention is reached and influenced, points of contact. And I mean, this rings true still today. All of those mediums are still there. And protest is one of those.
You would just add social media to this.
Absolutely. He would be so hard about social media, Edward Bernays. That's one that he did not foresee. And another quote here, the Public Relations Council. He says that a whole lot, so... He talks about himself he's very pretentious with the way he talks about himself. Council, excuse me, therefore. Okay, therefore. He says that a lot too, obviously, because that wasn't. Okay, the Public Relations Council, therefore, is the creator of news for whatever medium he chooses to transmit ideas. It's his duty to create news no matter what the medium which broadcasts this news. It is news interest which gives him an opportunity to make an idea travel and get favorable reaction from the instincts to which he happens to appeal. News is in itself, we shall define later on when we discuss relations to the press, yada, yada, yada. But you see that he has an arrogance to him where he kind of creates the reality that people live in. And something about Edward Bernays.
He's a fucking maniac.
He's a psychopath. He has
this is psychopathic for sure.
Godlike complex. He brags in his book. It might be this one. It's one of the ones that I have. That Hitler, he met with Hitler because they wanted to learn from him, and Hitler had
have dinner with him.
Well, it was. I don't know if he had dinner with him. It was a meeting with like Goebbels and Hitler, and Hitler
Probably
had
lunch then.
Edward Bernays. Yeah, it might have been breakfast or a brunch or something like that. He had Bernays' books in his bookshelf, and Bernays brags. Bernays, who is Jewish, by the way, brags in one of his books about how
Hitler loves my books.
About how the propaganda campaign used to exterminate the Jews was based on his propaganda books. So there's a Jewish guy bragging about that in one of his books. It's crazy, and people are always like, where did Hitler get his propaganda? Well, according to Edward Bernays, he got it from him.
Wow.
And this is Freud's nephew, and guy who was interviewed by David Letterman, as we watched. Let's see, a couple more, then we're going to watch some videos of Edward Bernays doing an interview and talking about his theory. All right, the council, not only known, Okay, the Council on Public Relations not only knows what news value is, but knowing it, he is in a position to make news happen. He is a creator of events. That's the feel I get from this website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think this will be the last one here. I thought this one was interesting just because of his pretentious language. Of course, this was 100 years ago.
This is why it's so hard to get events going.
Right.
Have you ever tried to get an event? Have you ever tried to get any kind of event license or any kind of public gathering?
You got to get yourself a PR person.
You got to get a PR person. You got to have an expediter.
An expediter.
Yeah, you got to pay someone who knows how to expedite this shit.
Yeah. So here, pugnacity, which is fighting. Pugnacity, with its attendant emotion of anger, is a human constant. The Public Relations Council uses this continually in constructing all kinds of events that will call it into play. Because of it, too, he is often forced to enact combats and create issues. He stages battles against evils in which the antagonist is personified for the public. That's what all of the news is in the modern day. That's what protests are. It's one or the other. You got to choose a side, which he also talks about a lot in here, is exploiting that emotion to force people on one side or the other, but creating these events to play out in the public so that they make news. He's talking about this so casually. I mean, this is why the country is so divided, is because of this type of propaganda that we're subjected to on a regular basis from all sides.
Is it divided, or is that just propaganda?
Maybe it's all united. Maybe there's, yeah.
Because when I go out, or I deal with people every day, they seem to be getting along just fine.
It's not as divided in the real world as they would have you believe. You're exactly right about that. But that's another one where he said something about they want to manifest it. And that's what he is, and all these people try.
Yeah, they're
to
wizards.
do.
They're sorcerers. They're evil demons.
Where is it?
That's what they're
There's-
trying to do. Yep. Yep.
Let's
Use
see.
it. How many times does he use the word manifest or manifest?
He uses it all throughout this. Let's see his book. How many does that say? I guess he's 7 times there. Okay, this is a. Hold on. Issue that. It's evil to the public. Okay, so this is just kind of an example. He's just going through all kind of examples of the role that type of things public relation people do. Okay, the opening of a shop by prominent women in which were shown graphic examples of the effect of the tariff on women's wear was an event created to intensify the interest in the subject. An event created probably by him with one of his clients. And the launching of battleships with ceremony, the laying of cornerstones, a presentation of memorials, demonstrating meetings, parties, and banquets are all events created with a view towards carrying their capacity in various mediums that reaches the public. And this is, I mean, obviously this stuff is going to be done. They talk about this in news, like how North Korea does it or Russia does it with everybody does it.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes it's easier to see when you're looking at a country like
Totally, 100%. And finally, this will be the last one here for real. Public relation. It says a million times. It's not a good search word. Yeah, I should choose the search words that he doesn't say a million times. Actually,
if you're military, goose steps, still goose steps, where it's it looks a little funny.
You think so? If they still heil?
Well, I think they all. I think like doesn't North Korea still do a big old goose steppy march? You know, what I'm talking about.
I don't know. I know what you're talking
their legs
about.
way up. I think they do.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I think they should just kick him out to the side,
Yeah, everyone should get to do their own.
or maybe
They
do
should
like a
moonwalk.
like one of these things where they kick their legs back, moonwalk, something that looks very kind of effeminate, so it doesn't seem
Everyone
threatening.
swish. Sachet, they sachet.
A sachet. They should sachet their military. The Public Relations Council creates new stereotypes. Roosevelt, his own best advisor, was an apt creator of such stereotypes. Square deal, delighted. He's talking about some of the, I guess, like Trump makes these sayings, but they all try to do this. Delighted, mollycoddle, big stick, created new concepts for general acceptance.
That's a good word.
Stereotypes become, which one?
Mollycoddle.
Mollycoddle.
That's a
What does
good
it mean? Gay or just sheltered?
I'm not sure. I
Coddled
remember. It's
by a woman named Molly? Perhaps.
I used to know. It's been a long time
Stereotypes
since I've been
become
in college,
shop-worn and lose their power with public that has previously accepted them. Sometimes they do. But that creation of stereotypes, we see that all the time. And
It's
so,
to baby someone. Kind of baby someone.
yeah. Like conspiracy theorists, when it was rebranded back after the first time Trump got elected as a white nationalist. That's like creating of a new stereotype.
Which
And
means anyone who voted for him is also a white nationalist.
yes,
right?
right. Same thing with the anti-vaxxer, vaccine hesitant. That's kind of a new stereotype they clumped together, which became a MAGA stereotype, and all these things kind of fall into place under it. It's why people can't have conversations, because they drill these stereotypes into people's heads.
Vaccine hesitant
Yeah.
was just that. Even just being hesitant. No, you're in that camp. No
Yeah,
hesitation.
Right. And if you try and convince a black person that the Tuskegee Project, if you remind them of that, you are trying to create vaccine hesitancy, and you are therefore a white supremacist, racist.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
all.
of course.
And some people think that way. We know people who kind of fell into that. And if you say any of these, what I call language landmines, which fall into the words they put out there to trigger people, they repeat these words often through various mediums that are inescapable. They go into people's unconscious minds, and when they hear them, they have this raw, racist knee-jerk reaction. You know, they don't even know they did it. I'm just like, what? Are you okay? They don't even know what
Yeah.
happened.
And they get really mad.
They get really, really mad.
Really mad. Like, how dare you say that?
It's crazy. You can
All of a sudden, you're every MAGA
100.
evil thing they've ever thought of.
Yep. And they're no longer listening at that point because they're only reacting to a stereotype and not the individual in front of them. And that's the idea. They try to manifest that reality at a wide scale. But I agree with you that I don't think most people like that. But when you step on one of those language landmines, you find out very quickly
Oh, yeah.
who has fallen under that spell. So let's watch a little bit of the decrepit old Edward Bernays. And I've used to play this video a long time ago. It's been a while, but I think it's definitely relevant again, especially on this communist day of celebration internationally. Here he's talking about the flames of freedom, or whatever he called it, propaganda, very famous propaganda campaign he did. And he's very decrepit.
One day, Mr. George Hill, president of the American Tobacco Company, or the largest, maybe the largest tobacco company extant at that time, called me in
You can see he's very attractive even in his old age.
Oh, yeah.
said we're losing half of our market. And I said, why, Mr. Hill? He said, there's a taboo of men, there's a taboo by men that does not permit women to smoke, either in public or even at home. What can we do about breaking down that taboo?
Oh, he's just, and look at
I
how
said,
pleased as punch
You
with
can
this story.
absolutely the way he just
he's just
indulges in the details that are unnecessary. He's very proud of his work.
have I your permission to see a psychoanalyst? He said, what'll it cost? I said, let me ask. So I called up Dr. Brill, who was one of the great disciples of my uncle Sigmund Freud.
Loves the name drop.
Said, what'll it cost, Dr. Brill, for me to have a little conference with you on a question that is of importance to the people whom I'm working with? And he said $125, which at today's purchasing power would be about 20 times that. So I went to Dr. Brill and I asked him what cigarettes meant to women. And let me say in parenthesis that cigarettes at that time were not regarded as dangerous to your health because that had not been found out yet. In
He has to
fact,
caveat why he's a good guy still.
they were regarded as symbols of manhood. Little boys smoked them to prove that they were older than they were. And they were regarded as symbols of importance in the society, giving pleasure and so on. So I went to Dr. Brill and asked him what cigarettes meant to women, and he answered very quickly, cigarettes are torches of freedom to women. They want to smoke to dramatize man's taboo against women by not permitting them to smoke.
Yeah, he could have said, look, women, you tell them they can't do something, they'll do it. And they could have shortened that by 2 minutes there.
Yeah.
And that's why they want to smoke. And then he added as an afterthought, and they titillate the erogenous zones of the lips.
Let's hear that. Let's hear this old man say that just one more time.
And he again,
You
so
see how he
pleased
smiles when he
with
says
himself when
that?
he said
Like
the
a
word
creep,
titillate.
dude. He's so happy with that word.
And then he added as an afterthought, and they titillate the erogenous zones of the lips.
I wonder if Bill Belichick says that a lot to his girlfriend. Which lips, says Bat Christian. He doesn't elaborate there. I couldn't tell you.
Here I had my $125 worth of knowledge. What could I do with that information? I decided that there were 2 days of freedom in the United States. One was July 4th, political freedom, but that was no good because people were in the country using firecrackers to celebrate the day. They were permitted at that time. This was some 50 years ago.
God.
The other day was Freedom of the Spirit, Easter Sunday, and it occurred to me that any young debutante who
I want to hear that in full, but I just want to know what the thinking of the camera person is when he says, you know what, zoom in on this old decrepit face. Right?
Maybe he fell asleep and hit the zoom button.
I mean, what is this?
Yeah,
This
what
is like way too close right
yeah,
here.
it's really creepy.
Yeah, it is.
this was some 50 years ago. The other day was Freedom of the Spirit, Easter Sunday, and it occurred to me that any young debutante who was aware of the times and of herself as a woman being discriminated against would be delighted to walk in the Easter parade with her beau.
Hey, young debutante, are you tired of being discriminated against?
Here's a torch of freedom for your mouth. Isn't that
I bet it's
erogenous?
titillating.
Yeah.
To dramatize the idea
Here it is, yeah.
with her beau, to dramatize the idea that cigarettes were indeed torches of freedom, to validate and to invalidate the taboo against women smoking. So I called up a debutante.
Before we get to the debutante friend of his and her beau that he called up, that makes me think of the stuff we see that were taboo, maybe still should be taboo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a woman in bondage in a wheelchair riding through Atlanta with Donald Trump and Elon Musk around. This makes me think of a lot of the demonstrations that we see in public protests where it's like, what can we do that just completely breaks the taboo? What was the children's parties with the drag queen story, all
Crazy
type
that
stuff.
it went from a debutante smoking to
You're right. Really went a long way. So to lap dances from drag queens at children's parties.
oh my god.
Now here he's a debutante friend, and now here it's how he makes this national news. And of course, this guy has a lot of money behind him in doing all
Against
this.
women smoking. So I called up a debutante friend of mine, asked her to get another friend and two young men whom they liked, and I also instructed them on how to give information about what they did to the newsreels.
Tells them what to say.
Weekly newsreels, to the newspapers, to the three important press associations, the AP, the United Press, and International News Service, and to walk from 34th Street to 57th and back and forth, lighting torches of freedom to protest man's inhumanity to women by a taboo against smoking.
Man's inhumanity towards women. Do you think this guy believes any of this?
No.
This is an inhumanity. But this is what the entire media establishment is. It's pretty. Yeah, good.
And we know that when they're out there protesting. That's what gets so frustrating.
Right.
About talking to some of our friends. It's like, come on. You don't believe what you're saying right now. Like the whole thing that people were talking about when Trump said MS-13 about the guy's knuckles.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it says it right there. It says MS-13. And then they started saying that he was commenting on the Photoshop and he was confused about the Photoshop. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're doing with these protests is they don't believe what they're doing.
No, it's all the media is all disingenuous. I don't know if Trump thought that, didn't see the picture or not, and somebody told him. I have no idea there, but I agree that it's all disingenuous. And this, so remember the pugnacity statement from his book, with that emotion. That this is exactly what he's talking about here. Again, he said the Public Relations Council uses that emotion continually to construct all kind of events that they will call into play. And that's what he's doing here. He's doing this thing where they're breaking the taboo, but he's framing it in a way where it's women against the oppressive men in society and their inhumanity that they've been treated and they're showing that they're not going to take it anymore. And it's all specifically to call attention to it. Why? Because he cares about an event? No, because he's being paid to by a cigarette company.
Yeah.
He's very proud of it.
To protest man's inhumanity to women by a taboo against smoking. Next morning, there wasn't a newspaper in the United States, even the New York Times had a front page story, debutantes light torches of freedom to protest man's inhumanity to women by a taboo against smoking, lighting cigarettes in their walk.
And that's the language he told all those debutantes and their beaux to say to the different media so that the media would hear them. So he went ahead and he put the headline quote in the mouths of the crisis actors. So the media, anticipating that the media would go, oh, that's great, and run with it.
The interesting thing to me was that within 3 days, the newspapers, without any intercession on my part, published accounts that women were smoking in Union Square in San Francisco, in Union Square in Denver, and on the Boston Commons. And to my surprise, within 6 weeks, on their own, without any intercession on my part, the League of Theaters, which had a ban on women smoking in the smoking rooms under the orchestras of every good theater in New York, lifted the ban and women were allowed to smoke. That obviously set a trend, and the Surgeon General's statement that cigarettes were dangerous to your health did not come out.
Yeah, he already told us that. We know you were a great guy, what you did for the cigarette companies there. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Scary. He's a manipulator. He's a master manipulator.
Yeah, he is.
And he's just decided to wrap it up with jargon and, codify it and sell it, and everyone tells him he's smart because of it.
And he advised presidents for 50 years and first ladies, and he helped lead a coup of a democratically elected president in Guatemala because he was hired. He worked with the CIA to do this because he was hired by United Fruit Company to help boost their profits. So he cross-pollinated.
What, he lifted? We got the ban on women eating fruit lifted.
Yeah, right. It was very taboo. Yeah. He had them go eat fruit in a public parade over there.
Walk up and down, just eating apples and peaches and pears.
Yeah, with their bows. Let's see if I can't remember which one this one is. Let's see. We'll watch this one for a minute so see if it's interesting. This entire interview, he says titillating like 3 times. He loves saying that word. It's his favorite word.
It's like he's getting away with something.
We worked
I know, it's a taboo against creepy old men.
for Procter & Gamble for several decades. I think it was 30 years. One day, the president of the company said, "We have bad news. Children hate soap because the mothers wash their faces with soap. The soap gets into their eyes, and they detest it. And obviously..."
All right, so that was that. What the basis of that one is he says, so what we did is we held a nationwide contest on how you could make a sculpture out of soap or something like that. And we made soap something that the kids were competing each other against to use, and therefore we ended up selling all this. It's just a big PR stunt. Backed by, he's got all this, he's talked about this like he could do any of this without financial backing of these companies.
Yeah.
But there was another part of that interview that was pretty good. I'm just trying to figure out which one of these it was. God, dude's so old in these. And everybody gets old, but like, if you're lucky, you get. Here's Bacon. This is a good one.
Many years ago, our client was the Beachy Net Packing Company. We made a research and found out that the American public ate very light breakfasts of coffee, maybe a roll, and orange juice. We went to our physician, found that a heavy breakfast was sounder from the standpoint of health than a light breakfast because the body loses energy during the night and needs it during the day. We asked the physician, after telling him why we were talking to
So notice that they found that him and his PR team came to that conclusion. Then
Yeah.
they went and asked the physician.
Yeah,
after,
I mean, yeah, there's no evidence. Yeah.
right, yeah, the way they frame it to the question makes it easy for them to say yes.
him, would he be willing, at no cost, to write to 5,000 physicians and ask them whether their judgment was the same as his, confirmed his judgment. He said he would be glad to do it. We carried out a letter to 5,000.
So he basically pre-writes a letter, goes to a friendly doctor, and says, will you be willing to send this letter that our PR team was paid to write to 5,000 doctors asking if they agree with you, a doctor, an authority figure. It's all manipulation. And you can, when you hear this, it's like, oh yeah, that's so obvious that they do this all the time nowadays, which makes it really difficult to believe anything, honestly.
Yeah.
Physicians, obviously, all of them concurred that a heavy breakfast was better for the health of the American people than a light breakfast. That was publicized in the newspapers. Newspapers throughout the country had headlines saying 4,500 physicians urge heavy breakfast.
You see how he smirks? You see how he can't help himself? He's such an asshole.
And use words like urge.
Yeah, he's gross, dude. It's a gross dude.
In order to improve health of American people. Many of them stated that bacon and eggs should be embodied with the breakfast, and
So he's
as a
working for it.
result, the sale of bacon went up. And I still have a letter from Bartlett Arkell, president of Beech-Nut Packing Company, telling me so.
Yeah, so that was again for a corporation
Wow.
that he made a bunch of money for,
Wow.
using the social issues to exploit it, using the authority, and yeah, it's interesting. It's, you know how you never can tell what diet is best because there's always information saying this
dude,
diet.
dude.
You know?
Every other year, they can't make up their mind about eggs. Nobody can make up their fucking mind about eggs.
Right.
They're bad for you. They're good for you. The egg whites are good. You gotta have the yolk too.
Well,
and I just eat them. Now I just eat them.
I eat them because I think they're probably good, but I think that you have competing interests who want to sell another product that is going to lead to this idea, this confusion around it, because it's competing PR from opposing companies that is trickling down, or maybe politicians for policy purposes. But there's always a corporate interest connected to everything. I don't know. There's that chart where it's like all the people who went from government to, a corporate board, and it's like all of them who were in Congress.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like every single one of them almost.
Yeah.
It's so that whole all those interviews, even though he is very gross, it's very interesting to hear the way he describes it, because he doesn't really hold back on it. He just tries to frame his manipulation for profit and power as a good thing for democracy. But he tells you very clearly what he does in this book.
Oh yeah, he's reasoned himself into this.
Absolutely,
place.
dude. He thinks he's a hero.
Yeah.
And this book is better than the book Propaganda, in my opinion. But they're both good, but he actually gives a lot of examples of all of his work of manipulating issues like this. And there's one quote, I'm going to butcher it, but where he's like, if you want to sell pianos, you don't try and sell pianos. You normalize the idea of people having a piano room in their house. You know, what do you got to put in there? Piano, obviously. So it was just interesting his approach to that.
You guys don't. So wait, Brad, you don't have a piano room?
Yeah, or you have no, I don't, or
That's
you have
fucking weird. Dude.
or you have
Every
a piano room with no
normal person
piano.
has a piano
right?
room, dude.
Right, or like even worse, what are you gonna put in that piano room? Where's your piano?
Yeah, where's your fucking piano, loser?
Like you don't even play it because
No, you don't play it. It's the piano room. That's
You
the
sit
piano.
there.
It's just fucking piano. That's where
yeah, faggot. Where's your piano room? You look like a faggot without a piano in this.
So it's a self-playing piano.
Yeah, you might as well put like some gay shit in here with this empty piano room. Yeah, no, but it's seriously, we're joking, but it's the idea of making people feel ashamed to not have the piano room or the piano in the piano room.
Interesting.
And
Very interesting.
His uncle Freud, I think most people know that. I know I've mentioned it before, but his nephew is one of the guys who was the co-founder of Netflix, another propaganda engine. It's very, very interesting. There's so many speeches, and this guy has worked with the UN, like I said, met with Hitler. He's very great at self-promotion. He's one of those guys who takes credit for absolutely everything, whether or not he did it or not. But that's like every politician nowadays. And he talks a lot in this book also about the manipulation of film producers, how you can kind of whisper in their ear and you can get your political messages into films to reach that mass audience and whatnot.
It's like Snow White.
Just like Snow White, I saw I can't remember it enough to talk about the theory I saw about just Snow White in general. All right, moving on to Elon Musk here. I wish Elon Musk had somebody around him that would tell him not to do things like this.
I kind of like it, Brad.
I think it's so gay.
I think I know.
It's so
and that's
gay.
why I
And
kinda
he's so
like it.
retarded,
dude. I know. I kind of like it. It reminds me of a stunt one of my friends would have pulled in high school. It's so stupid. It's so immature. And I love that.
He thinks he's so hilarious, but he doesn't have anybody around him to not laugh at him and say, let's leave that one at home.
But that's what I love about it.
I mean, look at his face. You can tell he's thinking about how funny it's going to be.
I know.
While
But
he's
that's
talking.
what I
Watch
love about it. That's what I
this,
love about it.
this-
I love the commitment, man.
Trump's cabinet weighing in. This is the worst guy in the improv troupe right here,
I really
Elon
wish
Musk.
they would weigh in.
Weigh in. Yeah. How much does everybody weigh, especially the women first? The first 100 days.
Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats.
Just the way he clears his throat, knowing he's going to say the punchline. And he got Trump.
I like it. I like
do
it.
the
I'm
bit.
sorry. I have to disagree.
I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being. I hate it. I think he's a jackass.
I just like that it's happening on the world stage.
I mean, we're looking at the world's richest jackass, and it's just.
I know. I love it. I love it. It's like a great '80s movie. It's like if a kid body switched into a tech billionaire.
You're right about that. You know, he posted a picture on X of him when he was like 13 wearing two hats saying, I've worn many hats for a long time. I'm like, God, just stop with it. We don't need a tagline. Just stop.
I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
If I was, oh God, sorry, I cut into his punchline there. Sorry.
It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
Look, you know what I'm doing if I'm in that room right there? You know what I'm doing? Boo! Boo! I'm heckling if I'm in that room. I'm getting thrown out of that room. I don't care if it's. I finally get an opportunity to ask.
Kill the vibe. Everyone's having a great time. They're weighing in.
No, they're not though. I think there's many people in there who are like, I gotta laugh at this shit.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Look, okay. It's retarded and childish, and
I know.
It's not as bad as SNL. But also it's retarded. It's very, very. I just. I can't shake his SNL performance, which was one of the worst I've ever seen in my life.
Well, he's not a performer.
Clearly, look at him. He's Carrot Top over here, dude. He's a prop comic. The chainsaw, the multiple hats. What's next? He's gonna blow up a condom on his head,
Dude, everyone laughed at Carrot Top. He had a couple of good jokes.
Carrot Top had a good career, dude.
Remember he still has a career. He does like 6 shows a week, dude, in Vegas.
Really? I didn't know you followed Carrot Top.
I saw him on Rogan talking about it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Anyways.
all right.
Anyways.
Nothing-
Yeah. The remember he had the one where he's the prop where he puts on the Domino's uniform and he goes, I put this on when I order a pizza. And then when I answer the door, I go, I'll take it from here.
I can't. That's kind of funny.
good joke.
See, if Elon Musk did that, I would think that was pretty good.
It was funny when I was 14.
Right. Yeah, prop comedy's not bad. It's decent when you're 14 or 15 or when you do improv. Here, Trump, they mirrored Drudge's website. And if you saw this.
Oh my god.
This is the White House Wire. Of course, Drudge also put a headline on it where they jokingly said he was going to sue him for $1 billion. Not really going to do that, but it's a good style of website, an aggregator. So it's not.
Is this what the White House website is now?
This is a White House, yes, a whitehouse.gov website.
That's fucking see.
Whitehouse.gov.
Kind of stuff.
White
this
House
is what I
Wire.
voted for. This is what I voted for. More of this kind of just crazy
The
shit
WH
like this.
Wire. Yeah, it's very funny. It is funny, but it's also a good style of website. And finally, just an update on Bill Belichick. I know everybody's been talking about him. This came out in the past 24 hours that the television show, the HBO show, Hard Knocks, which is a reality NFL TV show that is like kind of a behind-the-scenes look of an NFL team.
Yeah, it's great.
They were going to do the Bill Belichick project at North Carolina, his first season at UNC, and it was already done promo shots of him in UNC gear, and then 2 days before production, before they were start filming, they called the whole thing off because of Bill Belichick's girlfriend's attempt to force herself to be heavily involved in the project. They finally threw their hands up and said, we're not doing it. And they called the whole thing off, costing UNC like $200,000 in faculty fees and no telling how much profit and exposure for the program.
They're lost, dude. She's wise beyond her years.
According to her ex-65-year-old boyfriend. Isn't that what he said? And
yeah.
So she dated like a 68-year-old before Belichick, who called her wise beyond her years. Said
wise
they met,
beyond her years.
They bonded over philosophy. They said.
Of course they did.
He said, yeah, of course they did. And what's from a UNC fan point of view, Belichick signed a 5-year, $50 million deal there. So they might have to either be stuck with him.
It's a power thing for her, isn't it? This whole thing is just a power trip.
Maybe. And there might
that's
be,
what it is.
You know, there's some information that was buried in this article about her that apparently was out like a year ago, but I guess it didn't get as much attention. And that is that her mom runs a sex toy shop and sex museum.
Wow. A sex museum? Where do you go and look at old ancient sex stuff?
Yeah, old sex. I haven't been there. Maybe you look at some of their
medieval
sex.
dildo.
Some people speculate that that's how. Yeah, medieval dildo, right? Belichick's penis could be maybe considered that by some. Some speculate that that's how they met. Maybe Belichick was maybe hooked up with her.
He likes
her
museums.
Mom. Yeah, where's this museum? I need to do research. You know, it's in, it's in Maine. It's in Hancock, Maine.
Oh, yeah. Of course, that's where it is. Why
or Cape Cod. There might be multiple. It's either Maine or Cape Cod.
What a strange place for that to exist. I immediately just thought it was on the West Coast. I never thought it was.
It's a small, quaint, white liberal town, dude. No big black. Well, maybe. Also, in the years after they got together, they've been together since 2021.
Yeah.
She has amassed an $8 million real estate portfolio.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw the 3 homes.
Once the fame and probably also the wealth. And you even have people like Charles Barkley, friends of Belichick, coming out and saying, I might give him a call because I don't know what's going on. And you have other people who hate Belichick coming out going, good. He's a dickhead. I'm glad he's being manipulated by this bitch into ruining his legacy. I think it's very funny, all of it.
I think it's funny, too. I still like Elon Musk better than Bill Belichick.
Do you think Elon's funny? Elon is
think
funnier.
He's funnier.
He's definitely funnier. There's no doubt. There's no doubt he's funnier. There's one other thing.
No, Bill reminds me, I had a real tough soccer coach.
Yeah. What was wrong with him?
Whenever we lost, we would have to do wind sprints.
Yeah.
Basically 200-yard wind sprint. You had to go down and back. And if we were out of breath, he would make us do it again. And we were kids, 11, 12 years old, so we would just start walking around holding our breath after running 200 yards.
Right.
I think he froze.
I did, but I'm still here. We're about to close it up, so I'm not.
We're closing it up, and I don't have any. I didn't prepare anything.
You had 200 wind sprints, though.
Oh, I heard too, just to in and out.
Just to what?
I can't move my mouth. I have to say, what if I freeze too?
Oh, I don't know if we
like
both
I'm
freeze
frozen.
and it
Yeah, looks like
becomes
I'm
an
frozen.
audio podcast like it is
Yeah.
anyway. So people who are listening don't even know I'm frozen right now.
Yeah.
So it's good. But what I speculate about is, or what I'm looking forward to anyway, are the chants coming from the fans during the games. Because every single away game, the chant is going to be focused on this relationship, and it's going to be so great.
It's going to be great. You're
I
right.
can't wait to hear it.
Wait.
So, I can't think of any right now, but maybe we'd come up with some, and we could talk about how you would heckle Bill Belichick if you were an opposing fan, and UNC is playing in your stadium. They're not playing Georgia Tech next year, unfortunately, or I would go to the game ready to get that student section riled up against the other team. I would be right there in the middle of that. Yeah. You know what would be great is you bring, like, I don't know, you dress up a bunch of girls to look like her, and you sit them all in the exact same spot.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Dude.
Yeah, and you just go after it. Because the media coverage is going to get it. The camera's going to cut to it. And the announcers are going to be making wisecracks about it. Really looking forward to that. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for all the great stuff in the chats. And I'm seeing some of the chats on Instagram now. I didn't even realize Instagram did chats until recently, so I'm sorry if I missed some of those. But I appreciate everybody hanging out, and we will talk to you guys next week. Ian, thank you for joining. I'm really hoping everybody follows Reginald the actor on X. He's been coming after me lately, and become really aggressive over there on X. So I want to see.
Terrible.
Yeah, so I want to see what you guys have to think. Maybe he has the right perspective or not, but I want you, Ian, to follow him also and get you guys in the same room at some point in time, too. So, hello, Covell. Hello-io, Covelio.
yeah. Hello-io, Covelio.
That's your X account.
Yeah.
Anything else you would like to add, Ian, before we get out of here?
No, see you guys on Tuesday.
We'll see you guys later. Thank you, guys. Do you like your coach?
Does my coach like him young?
Apparently, yes,
yeah,
there you go.
He
There
coached
you go.
kids soccer,
Certainly
so he liked him
does.
real young.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Later.